Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Very excited to be able to hang out with everybody. Tonight's episode will be very short because I am under the weather and I am pre-recording this in advance because of how health has been this week. But grab what you need to be comfortable, and I'll see you back here in about 30 seconds. All right. Hi, everybody. I have to say, I have to start by apologizing for last week. My audio on my computer, like I go into a lot of different districts and schools and stuff, and I guess every time I plug in my computer, it like somehow resets my sound. And so I don't really know what went on. I need to like explore a little bit more, but I think it's like a setting got switched over. So I apologize. And then my comments weren't clicking through. So it was just like a hot mess. But I'm like, it's so representative, I think, for a lot of us right at the beginning of the school year and like the season of survival and like just there's just so much happening. It's the tech issues. It's like I can't even like it's all the things, you guys. It's But thank you for showing me so much grace last week. I do appreciate it, and hopefully this week is a little bit better, minus my voice, which is a whole other story. Like I can't tell you the amount of teachers and like coordinators and leaders that I have talked to who are already like down for the count. Like we've all got the flu, we've all got COVID, we all have the colds, like just like all the regrouping of germs in our classrooms or in our offices. Like, oh my goodness. So I've been under the weather like all this past weekend and this week. So we're struggle bussing, but that's all right because we're still going, right? We're still going. I wanted to give a few quick updates and announcements because it's been a minute since we've been on here and since you could hear me not talking to myself like a goober, you guys. So a few quick announcements. Later this month, next week already, y'all. Yeah, it's already next week. Wednesday the 18th, Thursday the 19th, Friday the 20th is the bilingual directors meeting over at Rosemont. I believe registration is closed, but it is going to be wonderful for all the leaders across the state to come together, get updates from ISB in terms of compliance stuff. And we also have a lot of different sessions. I have a session that I'm doing on supporting newcomers on Thursday in the morning, I believe. So anyway, I hope to see you there if you will be there. So that's coming up. We also have a very exciting announcement for the Multilingual Illinois Conference. We will be at a new location this year, which is so exciting because I know that we've been at Oak Brook for decades, right? But I'll also say, like, I know a lot of us have talked over the years, like, it's just very full. Like all the sessions are very full and the hallways are very crowded and stuff. So I'm excited. I don't think I've ever been to an event at that space. So I'm really excited to see it. But it's exciting, right? When you have a new venue and like just new fresh vibes and stuff. I think that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. All of the information is on the website, on the IRC website. If you click events, it'll take you to all that information, which is great. So we got that rolling. We got that going. And let's see what else. I feel like there were a few other announcements, but I can't even remember what they all were. Last week, I started to show this book, and then again, the sound was bad. But this is a newer release from Andrea Honigsfeld, and it's called Collaboration for Multilingual Learners with Exceptionalities. We share the students. So this was co-written by Andrea and then Audrey Cohen. But this, I think, would be a really, really cool book study opportunity to kind of break down the silos between student services departments and multilingual departments. So I would encourage you to check it out. I love like just having a quick flip through. So I'm just holding that up to do a quick on the screen here. A lot of really good graphics. I will tell you, I haven't begun reading it yet and exploring it yet, but I'm really excited to, because I think this is one of those pockets that all of us are really hungry to have more information on, and like just more resources around. So I'm excited for this. It's been getting a lot of really good buzz in our field. So that's really wonderful. So last week, I wanted to spend time talking about how we are supporting newcomers from the very beginning of the school year. So today I'm going to kind of combine some of the elements that I talked about last week alongside some other elements that I wanted to hit on this week. So it'll just be kind of all grouped together. When we talk about supporting newcomers, whether it is like at the kindergarten level, 7th grade level, senior in high school, 20-year-old student, whoever it might be, I think one piece that we don't always give ourselves credit for, and we don't have like rich enough dialogues, like full honesty, I don't think we have rich enough dialogues about the importance of that welcoming moment, right? Like those initial impressions. Now, this I will say is a little bit easier for folks when we have like elementary, like primary grades and intermediate grades, where a student is with like one group of kids for their entire day. I think that kind of like we are a little bit more able to focus on prioritizing that welcome. I think it gets a little bit more challenging when we start to talk about students who are going from class to class, and they have like a full schedule that they have to navigate and rotate between, and they have to learn all of these different teachers' names and all of these different content area classes, and the like the syllabus for each class, and like the expectations for behavior and submitting work, and like the late policy and the Chromebook policy, like on all of these different things. It's a lot. So no matter what grade level you are supporting, I want us to have some good structured conversation with our colleagues about how we prioritize that welcome, because we don't have a lot of control over a lot of other things when it comes to serving our students, right? But we do have control over those first initial interactions. And that's not just like that first impression, right? The first time that we are meeting a student, it's not just the like, the school tour. If somebody is walking them around the building and giving them the school tour, it's not just about that. It's like all of those small interactions. We need to prioritize how warm and how welcoming each of those interactions are. It kind of goes back, like I often have conversations with folks, like I think a lot of us do this, like at the beginning of the school year, we have conversations with our staff about like the importance of pronouncing our students' names correctly, which is fantastic. Like, please continue to do that, because that's really, really important. Talk about like affirm the identity of our students, right? And learning their names and honoring their names. That's huge. But I think like the follow-up, the missing follow-up to that is often like just revisiting that 2-3 weeks in. So it's the same with like the welcoming, like mentality, like revisiting it 2 weeks from now. How are we doing with nurturing that warmth? Because I will tell you, right, as we get into like the nitty gritty of our work and we're like starting, like content area instruction and getting into our initial units, we need to go back. We need to circle back and revisit that warmth and how are we doing, right? And have conversations with other adults in the building about how we're continuing to nurture that warmth and that welcome, but also have like get feedback from our students already. Like, how was this to launch the school year? Have you felt welcome in our space? Because we have a poster on the wall that says all are welcome here. But do you feel like from me as the teacher and from all of us as classmates and teammates in science or in PE, are we honoring, right, what we collaboratively co-constructed for like norms and interactions and behaviors and all these things? Are we being warming or like warmth? Are we being warm? There we go. It got there. Are we being warm to each other? Are we being welcoming? And what are some examples of that? Let's collect some of these examples. What are things that you have said or that you have heard in this space that demonstrate that warmth and that welcome, right? Because that's good not only for our students who are newer to their language journey in English and new to the community, but also just every class period we have is a new group to us, right? For most of us anyway. And so circling back to the name piece too, even if we were to say to students on the first 2-3 days of school, like, it's so important that I get this right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. No matter how many times we say that, there are still going to be students in our classrooms who are going to be like, nope, no, thank you, lady, because in my house, we don't do that. We don't correct adults. So we might need a few weeks of time for our students to watch how we interact with other kids. Like, Mrs. Spina, you said it's okay to correct you, but when Tommy tried to correct you the other day, you were not happy about it. So that tells me I shouldn't be correcting you. You see what I mean? So like if Tommy were to say, Mrs. Spina, no, actually we already did that one. We're on this page now. Like, and Tommy, let it go, or like whatever. However, I responded to Tommy. If I didn't respond in a warming or like a warm and a welcoming way, is it really safe for kids to offer a correction to me? It might not be, even though I said it right at the beginning, it might not be. So I might need to revisit. Okay, y'all, now that 3 weeks have gone by, let's do a quick name check, right? Because it's still the beginning of our semester or the beginning of our school year. We still have time to like learn, right? And then when students are able to say, well, actually, you've been mispronouncing it, it's this. Don't go over the top and be like, oh, don't do that. Just be like, okay, it's this, it's this, it's this. Got it. Thank you. And then make your note of whatever you need to do and then move on. Keep it moving along. Because otherwise, if you draw out the process, it calls more potentially unwanted attention for that student. And we don't want to do that. So we do want to continue to prioritize the warmth of the welcome beyond just the first few days of school and have check-ins with students, right? Those first few initial minutes, I think are critical, but I think students can start to put the pieces together. So even if you were really frazzled in those first few minutes, students will still continue to gather information and gather input from all the other interactions that they have had with you or that they have observed with you and other students. They're watching all the different cues, right? We always say that newcomer students kind of tend to lean more on more of their interpretive languaging skills at the very beginning of entering U.S. schools, right? They're leaning more on reading and viewing and listening. And so they're doing a lot of that too when we're talking about norms, how, other kids my age are interacting with their peers, how teachers interact with students, how students respond to adults, right? All of those different things. So as we talk about launching the school year, we do really want to prioritize the warmth of our welcome. And I don't think we give ourselves enough like structured dialogue with each other about this. And I don't think because we have such pressure to like get into our content areas and like start our units and start all these different things and like hit that pacing guide, I don't think we allow ourselves that time to go back and revisit and collect some feedback. But even again, even if it was just like a quick 5-minute thing of like, what evidence do we have so far? What has been said in this space? What have you seen in this space that shows, that demonstrates how we prioritize a sense of belonging in 7th period science or in our 4th grade classroom? Like, how have we been inclusive to each other? How have I been inclusive to you all? And then you might also have a moment where you share it with a student or like with your group. Like, you guys, there was a day last week where I felt very flustered because I had this to do and this to do. And then we had a fire drill and then I just felt very frazzled. So I don't know if I was giving you my best and my most, like the most warm version of me and the most welcoming version of me. So I wanted to call myself out and just let you guys know I noticed it too. So again, it's showing a few different things. It's modeling that we're human and we're allowed to be human beings. But it also helps them start to develop those skills too, of like that reflection of like, you know what? Maybe I haven't been so warm so far. Maybe there's a little bit more that I could be doing to demonstrate that. Next week, I'm going to stop here because my voice is just really bad and I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to hit a wall. Next week, when we come back together on Wind Down Wednesday, I want to talk about prioritizing unifying experiences in our classrooms. So no matter what our role is, if we're a content teacher, like in a middle school or a high school, or we're a classroom teacher, or we're the PE teacher, or we're the visual art teacher, no matter who we are, there are some universally like unifying experiences that are not separate activities for newcomers. So we'll talk about that next week. But thank you all so much for hanging out tonight. I apologize for my voice. And if you have thoughts and ideas about how you prioritize the warmth of your welcome, either you individually as a teacher or how your school does this or how your team does this, please let us know in the comments so that we can learn and grow from each other. And continue to grow our tool banks and our resources in this area. Thank you all so much. I will see you next week, and I hope everyone is taking care of themselves. And we'll talk.